Hello everybody, 4-Star here, and we are back with another episode of the UAL Our Ultimate Arena League here, and we got two submissions for you guys, including some guys that I put down in the game as well. But first, I want to say congratulations to Troy Bergeron, man. KJ Brown's #1 receiver. He had 1,900 yards this season, and he got a big payday here. He has a huge contract, $210K worth 5 years, and the only salary that is exceeding $1 million in his contract. Shout out to Troy Bergeron. And we also have two free agents here that are going to be hot commodities here. We got Gabriel Davis here, who is 97 overall. He came from our previous league way back in the day, the United States Football League franchise that we did a couple years ago. Gabe Davis from Pittsburgh. He did play with the Maulers, but he was a backup quarterback. Now he's looking for a shot here. And then we also have Robert Orndorff, who is a little bit undersized, but we do love undersized players here. Of course, KJ Brown, a little bit undersized, but he won the MVP. And let's get right into the free agency here. All 19 teams are going to be fighting for these players here in free agency, and it's all going to be CPU here. And let's just get right into it. Let's see which guys are going to get picked up here in free agency. So we're going to grade these teams free agency picks, and we're going to start with the two teams that our two submissions went to, and those are the Firebirds and the Outlaws. Firebirds go out and sign former USFL quarterback Gabriel Davis to a 3-year, $726,000 contract to replace Damian Keys. They also give Davis solid pieces by adding former Rampage players Chris Avery and Rob Mager. And they also helped the line by signing Ryan Patton, rookie Trell Spielman, and re-signing Antoine Clayton. And for Albany's free agency grade, I gotta give them an A. They already look like they're gonna be competing for yet another championship appearance. So let's see what Gabe Davis and this crew could do. The Outlaws really came out to compete this year for a championship as they signed Robbie Orndorff to a 3-year deal worth $652,000 as he replaces Leslie Holt. And Orndorff is going to have plenty of weapons to play with here as they re-signed 93 overall wide receiver Percy Sloan, who had 1,000 yards this season. And then Billings signed Firebirds offensive specialist and their #1 option, Deshaun Minter, who had 1,400 yards last season, and this duo already looks like one of the best in the league. Billings also went all out on defense as they pick up the #2 free agent defensive specialist Eddie Moten, who had 11 offers from teams across the league as he is a 98 overall. They also buff up the trenches with two rookies, 84 overall Jim Valdyke and 97 overall rookie Brock Niedermeyer, while signing former Phantoms lineman Zaquan Howell. And then they weren't even done yet. They signed a 95 overall Albanian kicker Ali Haralahu, and for this free agency grade, Billings has to have an A+. They improved from top to bottom, and they look like a serious competitor not only for the West but for the entire league here. We might see this team deep in the playoffs this year. The Grand Rapids Rampage went 1-15 and was the worst team in the league last year, and that's why they went out and got a 99 overall #1 free agent defensive specialist Darcy Smith Lewis, making him one of the league's highest paid players on a 4-year, $824,000 deal, nearly $1 million here in arena football. They also re-signed Joe Hamilton to a 4-year deal worth $720,000, making him one of the league's highest paid quarterbacks. But they give Hamilton plenty of weapons in adding Georgia wide receiver Derek Lee, Los Angeles' wide receiver Jerome Roble, and former Toronto offensive specialist Jarek Hillary. And for me, this team gets a B. For a team with no submissions, they're doing the right thing by picking up guys who are already proven to be really good players here. So let's see what Grand Rapids can do here in season 2. The newly added Beaumont Renegades signs a 20-year-old quarterback Danny Leitner to a 3-year deal. They also signed 98 overall fullback linebacker Roderick McLean to a 3-year deal. The Renegades for me get a C. They didn't move the needle as much, but they do have a promising quarterback. The Islanders now without a quarterback, they give veteran Mark Grebe a 2-year deal, and at 96 overall, gotta give this team a C+ just for the single addition. Meanwhile, Trevor Jackson and the Southwest Kansas Storm get more weapons with the additions of rookie wide receiver Orlando Flay and fullback Eugene Wright to 2- and 3-year deals. They also added 2 90+ overall defensive specialists in a Johnny McQueen and Denard Jones to help out in the secondary. And they also picked up linemen Todd Singletary, Kyle Holmes, and Ahmad Body. The Storm get a B+. This team looks like they corrected their errors from last season with no defense. And with Irv White, Orlando Flay, Eugene Wright, and Trevor Jackson, this team should be the one to beat. The Voodoo staff attempt to help out Savion Williams by signing fullback Ike Fernandez and wide receiver Darius Davis, but with only those additions, this team gets a D. They really need help, and being 2-14 doesn't really help your case for not picking up more free agents. Meanwhile, the newly relocated Red Dogs go all out on defense as they sign 93 overall lineman Tino Mafuaga, and they also grab a pair of 94 overall defensive specialists Keith Valentine and Kyle Preston. And then Peyton Ayuk gets blessed with way more help as they add 98 overall fullback Derek Frazier, Miami's number 2 receiver Tay Butler, and Los Angeles' standout offensive specialist Tabidi Davis to make one of the best offensive cores in the league. And for me, this is a knock out of the park, a no-brainer A+. I mean, the additions on offense, including the defense, man, this team looks like they're ready to strike the East with fear. And I think New Jersey just put their hat in the ring to compete for a UAL title. The 11-5 Wolfpack focus on defense as they signed linebacker Dustin Kwiatkowski, linebacker Kobe Largent, and defensive specialist Ricky Parker to help. And for me, the Wolfpack get a solid B. They didn't have to work too much on the offense, even though they did lose Orlando Abrams to free agency. They still have now a solid defense, and let's see what Harper Dew and Chris Dell can do. The Detroit Fury signed former Albany fullback Cal Keone and re-signed their center Curtis Jeter. And with those signings, I gotta give Detroit a D. They just really didn't move the needle much for me. And with basically the same roster coming back for next season, it's going to be really hard to try to make it to the playoffs. But of course, they helped out their secondary by picking up Malik Myers and TJ Hill, both defensive specialists. And with those being their only significant signings, I'm going to give it a C. They still have a really amazing offense, so I'm not going to shame them. They do have the MVP, KJ Brown, and one of the best receivers in the league in Troy Bergeron. So a little bit bolstering on the defense should help. The 15-1 Hooters pick up wide receiver Trey Myers, the former number 2 wide receiver for Southwest Kansas, who had over 800 yards and 20 receiving touchdowns last season, as well as picking up rookie Tommy Zapucki and Ryan Dutton to help out in those trenches. And I'll give Miami a B+, even with the offensive firepower that they already had. They replaced Tay Butler with Trey Myers, and then they picked up a lot of great pieces for not only just the offensive side of the ball on the line, but the defensive side as well. This team already looks like they're going to be a competitor once again. The defending champion Nashville Cats keep the same roster basically, as they only have one signing. They pick up 89 overall lineman Rock Michaels. And as for a grade, I'll give it a C. The LA Kiss re-signed Joey Anderson to a deal, and they signed Leonard Stafford to help out with the line as well. As for a grade, I'll give it a B for right now. As we all know, the team and the player submissions were hurt last season, so let's see how they fare with a healthy quarterback and a wide receiving core. As for Jasco Ortiz's Toronto Phantoms, they sign a pair of defensive specialists, Adrian Rogers and Jeff Hall, to help out with the secondary. And they also give Jasco Ortiz another wide receiver to throw to, as they pick up 1,500-yard receiver Jay Graham from Billings, who had 25 touchdowns last season. And for the boys up north in Canada, we got to give them a B+. Not only getting 2 great defensive pieces, but adding a 1,500-yard receiver next to one of your great receivers is going to be a plus always. As for teams like Minnesota, San Jose, Philadelphia, and Orlando, they didn't really participate in free agency since they already have long-term contracts with their default rosters. And that was free agency here. It was a very exciting one, as a lot of teams did make improvements, while some teams really didn't move the needle as much and are hoping that their mainstay guys can be the difference this year. But I say we get right into the regular season here. We're going to start the opening weekend for the UAL Season 2 right here, right now, starting with Week 1 with 5 matchups here today. First, we start off in New Orleans here as Savion Williams and the New Orleans Voodoo host their rivals, last season's near unbeaten team, the Miami Hooters, who have Greg Kelly and his #1 receiver, Don Robbie Smith, trying to redeem themselves after a phenomenal season cut too short. Savion Williams will start off strong here, connecting to Jason Dillon 3 times here in the first half. And will this duo spark a new beginning here for New Orleans? But Gary Kelly shows why he's the most efficient quarterback in the UAL here as he connects to his new target, Trey Myers, for a touchdown. Both defenses would manage to stop each other once in order for them to kick a field goal each to go into halftime tied at 24. Kelly would pick up where he left off last half as he throws a bomb to his receiver, his main man, Don Robbie Smith, to take the lead.
Oh yeah, can't stop me, can't stop me. I got a rhythm, yeah baby.
Williams tries to make a play here on 3rd down, but the newly acquired Trey Myers making a stand, getting a crucial stop there. It doesn't matter for Bill Gramatica because he's up to the task to make a 60-yard field goal to put some points on the board. After yet another Kelly to Don Robbie Smith touchdown, the Voodoo will have to try to figure out what to do here on this 4th down, and a handoff to Ike Fernandez was not going to be it. He gets stopped way short behind the line. After a turnover on downs, another Don Robbie Smith touchdown would be made, and then to add on top of it, Jordan Carter will be added onto the mix to seal the game with his 8-yard rushing touchdown to win this game. And the Hooters pick up where they left off here with a 13-point win against the Voodoo here in New Orleans. Although Savion Williams did have a good game, Gary Kelly was the star of the show with 5 touchdowns here tonight. Unfortunately for Miami, they did not leave this game unscathed. Charlie Jordan, their defensive specialist, out 11 weeks with a torn pec. So let's head over to Honolulu here as we have yet another divisional matchup here, this time in the West, with the newly added Mark Grebe and the Hawaiian Islanders taking on Harper Dew and Chris Dell in the Wolfpack. Cody Curry will get us started early here as he swerves and jukes through the kicking team to make his way into the end zone, even run over his coach for a 59-yard score. Mark Grebe not having a good first game as he throws this one directly into Rashard Monroe's hands that puts Washington in a position to score another early touchdown. Sean Jackson here, sensing that this team needs a spark, he's going to juke his way upfield off the left hash to put his team into the end zone for a kick return for touchdown. Kobe Largent will get called again to get his 2nd rushing touchdown, this time an 8-yard score. Meanwhile, Sean Jackson was waiting in the wings again, this time a 62-yarder. I believe the same amount of yardage he got last run, this time taking it in for a 2nd score. Do not kick to this guy.
That's it. That's all right, baby. You got it. That's all right, baby. You get some, let him go. Oh, man.
Dell looking to add on to Washington's lead, looking for Harper Dew, but he finds Franklin Dunn, who picks this one off in the end zone, now changing the tides for Hawaii. And both quarterbacks go back and forth with their spectacular scoring as Grebe throws this dot right to Sean Jackson for his 3rd touchdown. And Dell showing his skills, throwing this 22-yard heave to the newcomer Dustin Kwiatkowski.
And they're in for the score.
And Kwiatkowski wasn't done yet with his rookie performance. He absolutely lays the wood on Cornelius Bonner as the Washington Wolfpack picked this one up. We got to look at this one again. The rookie Dustin Kwiatkowski making his name known. 9-on-9 violence on Cornelius Bonner, and he instantly loses that ball for Washington. And Dell taking full advantage of the situation, throwing it to his newly acquired wide receiver Richard Blaze for a 14-yard touchdown. And then on 4th down here, the Islanders get desperate. They give Mark Grebe the ball to try to sneak it in, but he loses the football at the line of scrimmage, and that would be the game for the Islanders. They lose this game by 13 here as they lose 43-30, but they can rest their head on this with Sean Jackson being the player of the game here. 2 kick returns for touchdowns and 60+ yarders at that. Not only that, a touchdown on the receiving end as well. A great performance by the youngster, and let's see what he could do next week, hopefully on the winning side. And now we head to New Jersey as the newly relocated Red Dogs with Peyton Ayuk and his revamped roster are ready to take on KJ Brown, the MVP of last season, and Troy Bergeron, one of the most highest paid players in the league. These two teams would light it up here as KJ Brown and Peyton Ayuk would not stop today. It was touchdown after touchdown. KJ Brown would connect to Todd Bergeron for 3 times. Meanwhile, Peyton Ayuk was finding different receivers in the end zone almost every time, including a rushing touchdown earlier. Although at this point down by 2 scores due to some field goals and some stops, it didn't matter for Troy Bergeron. He gets into the end zone for a 4th time, this time a kick return for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, how you like me now? Yeah, and slide to the right.
This does not faze Peyton Ayuk in the slightest, throwing another touchdown to Tabidi Davis. Bergeron trying to make it 2 touchdowns here today from the kick return. He loses the ball. It hits his helmet. He doesn't know where it goes, and Hines will pick it up for a score. But it looks like Peyton Ayuk is ready to end this game here. Throws another strike to Tabidi Davis for another touchdown, this time their 3rd. But the MVP KJ Brown and Troy Bergeron not ready to say die yet. An end zone to end zone bomb here, and they would have to go for an onside kick. And who do you trust more than Keith Gisbert getting his own onside kick for the recovery? Down by 12 with less than a minute left, KJ Brown needs another receiver to throw to, and this time he gives it to TJ Hill. But yet again, they need another onside kick. But then again, Keith Gisbert, he kicks the ball right over the defenders' heads, and they get the ball back courtesy of TJ Hill. So all they need now is a touchdown, but Brown, he tries to throw the football, and it ends up on the ground, and now New Jersey recovers it with less than 20 seconds left. The coach can't believe it. Nobody else can believe it here. We're taking another look at that one, and as he was just throwing the ball, he gets boomed on the ground there, and KJ Brown has no choice but to look at that one. This game ends with a 73-61 win for the New Jersey Red Dogs here, and what a performance from the duo of Peyton Ayuk and Tabidi Davis. Peyton Ayuk has 6 touchdowns in this game. Meanwhile, Tabidi Davis had 12 receptions for 172 yards and 3 touchdowns. San Jose has a tough season opener today as they open up the season against their rivals here in the West. Mason Mabry and the San Jose SabreCats are going to have to take on this new rookie named Robbie Orndorff and his revamped Outlaw squad. Both young quarterbacks starting off strong with bomb touchdowns here. Mason Mabry throwing a bomb to Stills. Meanwhile, Robbie Orndorff throwing a bomb right to his new receiver, Percy Sloan. Both quarterbacks will respond quickly to each other's scores. Mason Mabry this time diversifying his portfolio by throwing it to multiple receivers for a touchdown. Meanwhile, Robbie Orndorff taking matters into his own hands, getting some rushing touchdowns to start off his career.
Touchdown, San Jose! Touchdown,
Deadlocked at 35, Orndorff was not finished yet on his rookie debut, throwing a beautiful floater right in the back corner to Minter, where only he can get it. Now we're here in the 4th quarter where each mistake can be your last here, and Mason Mabry throws it right to the linebackers. That's more for the big interception.
Come on, we can't have a turnover. Yeah, what are you thinking? Get the ball back. Now go on, get out of here.
And Orndorff puts the game out of reach here with another rushing touchdown as the Outlaws stave off San Jose in their house, beating them 56-42 as the rookie Robbie Orndorff gets 6 total touchdowns today, 2 through the air and 4 rushing touchdowns in his rookie debut. Amazing work. For our second to last matchup here, we end up in Philly as we see Posse and the Philadelphia Soul take on their rivals and the runners-up of the last championship game, the Albany Firebirds. Gabriel Davis finds Jimmy May for his first touchdown here in the UAL. Meanwhile, Posse finds Chris Lopez for his first touchdown of season 2. Meanwhile, during the back and forth, Posse gets absolutely destroyed on a screenplay, loses the ball, and Patton would pick this one up, taking this one 45 yards into the end zone for a fumble return for touchdown.
Oh yeah, how you like me now? Yeah, and slide to the right.
But Posse and the Storm make up the turnovers here as they come back down 2 scores, throwing a floater right into Conrad Wilkinson's hands for a touchdown to take back the lead. Now it's becoming a back and forth here in Philly, and Davis going to give this one to Avery as he rumbles his way into the end zone for an 11-yard score. These quarterbacks were absolutely fearless tonight as they kept throwing bombs against each other. Posse finding Donovan Gardner for a bomb. Meanwhile, Gabriel Davis finding Sauce Gardner in the back of the end zone for a 35-yard score. And then Posse, quite possibly having the play of the week, calling his own number, breaking the tackle against the linebacker, and finding nothing but Green ahead of him for 6. What a touchdown.
Oh yeah, how you like me now? Step to the left, step to the right.
But even after that amazing touchdown, Posse is forced to go for it here on 4th down, dropping back, looking for deep, but he can't find Chris Lopez. It gets tipped away for a turnover on downs. Fortunately for Philadelphia, the defense prevails here, only giving up a field goal, now only down by 6. Down a touchdown here with the final seconds of the game. Posse's going to have to look for the net. He throws it deep down the field. It hits the net, but it gets tipped away by Quentin Alford, and that would be the game. But just to rub it in just a little bit more, Gabriel Davis will break tackles and get his way into the end zone for his 8th touchdown of the day. Albany will win this one 73-59 in a huge divisional win for them coming in the long run, as this season's East Division should be highly competitive, so each game counts. But Gabriel Davis was truly phenomenal this game. 5 touchdowns through the air, meanwhile having 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground. What a debut for this young guy. And now for the final matchup of this episode, we got the defending champion Nashville Cats defending their house against a newly relocated Minnesota Monsters team. Can Justin Skaggs beat up on this team going through a potential hangover, or will it be repeat season here for the Cats? And this one was going to be a long night for the Cats here. The hangover might have been true here as Cass throws this one right into the middle of Brian Dorsey, and he takes this one back for 6. And with that lead, Skaggs and the Monsters would just tear up the field here, including touchdown passes to Deron Albright, a 35-yard strike to a wide-open Troy Mason. And of course, he can't forget his #1 receiver from the Salina and Liberty days, Kashawn Davis, with a nice touchdown. And even running back Terry Armstrong would get involved with this 10-yard touchdown run untouched. And that would lead to Minnesota cruising to a win here on the road against the defending champions, winning this one 62-52.
Here we go, yeah, bring it on. See, I can dance too. Yeah. Straight all football players, stay there.
The game would end up seeing Brian Dorsey as our player of the game, as he started off the scoring with the pick 6, as Minnesota carried that momentum en route to a win here on the road. As for the last 2 games of week 1 that were simulated, Orlando Flay makes an incredible debut here as Trevor Jackson connects to him 4 times en route to a win at home against Detroit. And Shane Stafford and the Orlando Predators make a statement here as they get a big win against Beaumont, winning this one 62-36, with Shane Stafford having a near perfect passer rating as he scores 6 touchdowns at home. And that is it for week 1 here. We had an exciting week here, a couple of great games here for the start of the season. We still haven't seen the Kiss play this year, or we haven't seen the Phantoms play. So those are going to be a big priority for next episode. But thank you guys for watching, and even thank you guys for even getting this far in the video. I really appreciate it, especially with the editing issues I've been going through so far. But I'm very excited to get these videos out to you guys, and I'm very excited for the future of this UAL season. I'll see you guys next time, and have a good one.